Hello everyone. Picture a child arranging seashells on a beach, a billionaire binding millions for a painting, a teenager trading Pokémon cards. What do they have in common? They all participating in one of humanity's most mysterious behaviors, collecting. But what do we do it? What drives us to gather, organize and treasure objects that often have no practical value? The story of collecting is in many ways the story of human consciousness itself. We are the only species that deliberately gathers objects not for survival, but for something more abstract, meaning. A crown might collect shiny things, but it doesn't catalog them, display them, or trade them. Only humans transform simple gathering into something deeper, collecting. The earliest evidence of human collecting goes back surprisingly far. Archaeologists have found collections of unusual stones and crystals in caves along our earliest ancestors. This object has no practical purpose. They were gathering simply because they were different, special, and interesting. Even before we had writing, we had collections. But here's where it gets fascinating. Collection isn't just about the objects, it's about the stories we tell through them. Every collector is in their own way creating a narrative. Baseball card collections tell stories about sport history. Stamp collections trace the path of the human communication. Even children toys collection often follow elaborate internal storylines that only make sense to their creation. Consider what happens when someone shows you their collection. They don't just show you the objects, they tell you about them, where each piece came from, why it's special, how it relates to the others. Collections become of a form of autobiography, a way of telling the world who we are through the things we choose to gather and perceive. This explains something peculiar about collecting, why it often focuses on seemingly worthless things. Bottle caps, ticket stubs, action figures still in boxes. Collection frequently celebrate objects that, by any practical measure, are useless. But that's precisely the point. By removing objects from their unusual context of utility, we transfer them into vessels of meaning. The psychology behind collecting reveals something deep about the human nature. When we collect, we are not just gathering objects, we are creating order from chaos. Every collection is a miniature universe where the collector makes the rules. In a world that often feels random and uncontrollable, collections offer a space where everything makes sense, where completion is possible, where order prevails. This might explain why collecting often intensifies during times of stress or transition. Children collect most actively between age 6 and 12, precisely when they are trying to make sense of a complex world. Adults often return to collecting during major life changes, like divorce, retirement, career shifts. Collections become anchors of stability in uncertain times. But there's a dark side to the story. The line between collecting and hoarding can be thin. Both activities involve gathering objects, but they serve different psychological needs. Collections curate, hoarders accumulate. Collections find meaning in organization, hoarders find security in possession. Understanding this distinction tells us something important about healthy versus unhealthy relationship with objects. The social aspect of collecting adds another layer of complexity. Most mysterious collections aren't solitary, they are part of communities, whether it's comic book convention, coin collection meeting, or online forums for vintage watch enthusiasts. Collectors create elaborate social networks around their shared interests. Their communities develop their own language, hierarchies, and value systems. This social dimension reveals another paradox. Collecting is simultaneously about standing out and fitting in. Collectors want their collection to be unique, but they also want them to be recognized and validated by others who share their passion. A collection becomes a ticket to a membership in a specialized tribe. The digital age has transformed collecting in unexpected ways. Virtual items, from social media likes to digital art and NFT, have become collectible. This raises fascinating questions about authenticity and value. What does it mean to own something that exists only in computer code? Why do people pay real money for virtual objects? Consider the explosion of digital collecting platforms. Pokémon Go turned collection into a global phenomenon that blends virtual and physical world. NBA Top Shot sells moments of basketball history as digital collectibles. Even traditional collectors now manage their physical collection through apps and online databases. But something interesting happens when collecting goes digital. The fundamental psychology remains the same. People still seek completion, organization, and meaning. But the nature of possession changes. Digital collections can be perfectly preserved, instantly shared, and endlessly replicated. But does this make them more or less valuable? The answer might lie in understanding what we are really collecting when we collect. It's never just about the objects themselves. Comic book collectors aren't just gathering colored paper, they collecting stories, artwork, childhood memories, cultural moments. Wine collectors aren't just storing bottles, they're collecting experience, knowledge, potential future moments of sharing and celebration. This reveals something profound about human nature. We are meaning-making machines. We take ordinary objects and invest them with significance. A baseball isn't just a baseball if it was couched at the historic game. A vinyl record isn't just a vinyl if it was played at first dance. Through collections, we transform the material world into a web of meaning. Perhaps the most interesting question is what we collecting reveals about consciousness itself. The fact that we can look at objects and see beyond their psychical properties, see their history, their meaning, their place in a larger pattern, might be one of the defining features of human awareness. This brings us back to the child on the beach, carefully arranging seashells. They are not just playing, they are engaging in a fundamentally human activity. They are creating order from chaos, finding patterns in randomness, making meaning from objects. They are learning to be a human. Because in the end, collecting isn't just about having things, it's about making sense of the world and our place in it. Whether we are gathering Pokémon cards or fine art, bottle caps or rare books, we are all engaged in the same basic human activity, trying to create little pockets of order and meaning in a chaotic universe. So next time you see a collection, whether it's displayed in a museum or tucked away in a showbox, remember that you're looking at more than just gathering objects. You're looking at human mind made visible, a personal universe carefully curated, a story told through things. The question isn't really why do we collect, but rather how could we not? In a world of endless objects and experience, collecting might be one of the most human ways of saying, this matters, this is meaningful, this is part of me. And perhaps that's the ultimate paradox of collecting. In gathering external objects, we are really collecting pieces of ourselves. Thanks for watching.